Well, thank you for joining me for another video. Today we're going to be looking at input types and things you probably didn't know about them. I'm going to start with a field set. By the way, I have created a HTML template document over here and linked it to this CSS style sheet where I've just introduced font and background. So that's what you can see over here. So I didn't want you to have to sit through me doing that again, because that seems to be a constant in my videos. You have to watch me set up a template, but you're probably sick of that by now. So anyway, in here we're going to start with, like I said, a field set. If you don't know what one of them is, I will show you. So if we go to here and type in field set, there you go, and save, already you can see that there is a border here. Now if we go over to the CSS and spell field set correctly, then we can just give it a width of say 70% and a height, default height of, in fact let's say min height of 150, like that, and then margin auto, just to put it over in the middle. Okay, in fact let's do 20 top and bottom. Yeah, that'll do. Right, I've just done that so we can push it over so we can actually see what we're doing. The field set is, it might look like it's just a div with the border already presented, but if we go over to the field set, inside it we can add things such as a legend, and in that legend we can add a title, basically, well, a legend, and we're going to put super heroes, save. There you go. Now to me this steps straight out of the 90s. Unfortunately I am old enough to remember using the computer in the 90s very well. But yeah, this is the sort of thing you would get on a Windows machine in the 90s, and well, you still do see it in places. So that's all very well and good. If that's what you want to do, fine. You can change the colour of the border, which we'll do in a minute, and the position and colour of this, and you can make it look any way you want, really. So in fact, why don't we just go and do that now. Let's go over to here and say I'm just going to target the legend tag because there's only one of them. You can still give it a class or ID if you wish. I'm going to say color, RGBA. This is for the text. I'm just going to say 0.9. There we go. So you can see it's basically disappeared. It's still there, but you can't really see it on the background. So let's change the background color to steel blue. Let's unhighlight it. There we go. Okay. Also the border, let's give it a border radius of, let's say, I don't know, 7 pixels. Yeah, looks a bit rubbish, but we can apply some padding to that. Let's say 20 pixels all round. Yeah. Okay, let's do 20 left and right and 10 top and bottom. I've got that the wrong way around, haven't I? 10 top and bottom, 20 left and right. There we go. Now to shift over to the middle, if that's where you want it, you can simply do a margin of auto, margin auto, like that, and there it is. We can do some letter spacing, let's say 2 pixels on that, and that pushes it out a bit like that. And yeah, you can carry on doing things like that, but you get the idea. You can move it about and do whatever. For the field set, we can change the border. In fact, yeah, border 1 pixel solid steel blue, for example. And there you go. Or even you could remove the border altogether and say border none. So we've just got the title, but we can then put a box shadow on it. Say 0, left and right, 10 pixels down, 20 pixel blur on an RGBA of black 0.5, like this. So you can make it look a bit more interesting. Yeah, but you know, it's up to you. Obviously, up to you what you do here and how you style it. But I'm going to leave it like that for a minute. In fact, I'm going to put let's leave it like that. Right, so I'm going to leave this superheroes thing here just because. I'm going to go back to the HTML and move on to the next input type. So you might be saying, well, that's not really an input type, is it? No, but input types usually go inside a form or a field set or a field set in a form. So we're getting there. So let's do a p tag. That's not an input type either, you might be saying, but this is some editable text. So save that. No, it's not. But if we go over to the p tag and in here we say content editable equals true, save, go over to here and say this is some cool editable text, then there we go. So that was one type. That was pretty easy. Let's just note that up for you. Editable text. I will be leaving these examples in GitHub repo, and the next one is going to be select list headers. Now let's do select list headers, and we'll say select, and you've probably seen these before. I'm going to give it a name of options, and well, why not ID of options as well. And within the select you can put in an option. Let's put a value of select, and then select option, save. So there we have an option. Let's just do another one and say option 1. Let's do a few, shall we? Let's say 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Save. So all these are selectable, so you can pick option 3, select option, but we don't want this one to be selectable. So in here we can add selected as the default selected one, but we want it disabled like that. So we go over here. There we go. You can't select it, but that's the one that's selected by default. So this is probably what you're used to seeing, and then if you want to put a header in, you'll go and put one in, disable it, style it, or something like that, but you don't need to do that. What we can do instead is say opt group and put your options in there. Let's label it. Oh, Deary me. Label equals, let's go for DC Heroes. And in here we'll do an option, give that a value of Batman, because Batman rules. And then I think we can do another one of option value Superman. And in fact, let's do Wonder Woman as well. Can't forget Wonder Woman. Oops. I'm getting used to a new keyboard, sorry. Wonder Woman, save. Let's go over here. And here you can see we've got a header, and these are selectable, but this is not. So it's auto styled and these are auto indented. So again, we can go for another one. Opt group. And we'll call this one label equals Marvel Heroes. Option, say Iron Man. There used to be a shortcut you could do to copy these down. Wow, that messed up. Anyway, I'm on Linux, so it's a bit different from Windows and Mac. But anyway, let's do another one. Option, I don't know, Thor. And one more to make it even. No, Captain America. Save. Right, go over here, and there we go. We've got the default options. We've got a default selection that says select an option, and then we've got categorized options. So there we go. Actually, while we're here, let's go over to, I think it's best if we get the inputs. Input, and then just give it a padding of 10 pixels so we can see what we're doing. We also want that on a select, because that's what we've got over here. There we go. Okay. Right then, so that was the options in the select drop down list, which I think is quite cool. But let's move on to the next one. So what have we got next? Regular expressions. Now if you know what these are, brilliant. If you don't, it might boggle your brain a bit, but let's just do it anyway. Regular expression. So if we have a form with an action of nothing, and in here we do an input of text like so, we give it a name, text input, and an ID of the same. There we go. Right, in here I'm going to say title and say 4 to 11 letters, and let's just stop there and see what that does. Right, so when you hover over it, it brings up that title saying 4 to 11 letters. So that's a hint as to what needs to go into here. And to make sure that that is what goes into here, we can say pattern equals, and then we can say, well, what do we want? We want either capital letters or lowercase letters. And how many characters do we need? Well, we need either 4 or 11, or 4 to 11. Minimum 4, maximum 11. So if we save, we'll go back over here and we'll just put the 1 in for now and enter. And it says please match the requested format, 4 to 11 letters. So if we say sum and enter, then it's fine, it's reloaded the page. If we go something, which is 9 letters I believe, that's fine because it's between 4 and 11. If we say something else and then just put a load of letters in, then it says no, 4 to 11 letters please, no more than 11. A lot of this is done in PHP, JavaScript and blah 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 by a lot of developers when they don't need to because it's right there. Although if it is a security concern, then it is better to do it on a back-end language such as PHP because it stops people manipulating things. It's just a less secure way of doing it, but an easier way if you remember to do it, that is. Anyway, let's put an input of submit here. Let's just put a value of OK. So then we can press the OK button and submit the form, which you can't see because it's enclosing this, but yeah, okay. So if we press OK here, doesn't matter because it's empty. Right, need a bit of space in between those, don't we? But let's just put in BR. There we go. This break line. So that's that one. Let's have a look at the next one. The next one is going to be data sets or data lists, which can supply your input with suggestions based on what you type in. Now that sounds more complicated than it actually is, so let's just do it. Oh dear God. Right, what should we call this one? Separate data lists for select options. Input text. We'll give it a name of villains. An idea of villains, and under here we'll say data list. See, now this is not coming up with a suggestion, so I'm going to just there it is. Down here, I'm going to close it. There we go. Strange, wasn't it? Anyway, for the data list, I'm going to call this one. Actually, I'm going to call this one Good Guys. And in here, I'm going to put the option in. And I'm going to put a value of Batman. Don't believe you need to close in on this one. In this one, I'm going to put option of Superman. And here, I'm going to do an option of Wonder Woman. Get rid of this, save. Now in order for me to get this to work, I need to associate this data list with this input field. So where I've put list, well, I haven't, so let's do that. List, I'm going to refer to good guys and save. Now if we double click in there, it will come up with that list, or if we go into here and start typing, it filters the list. So you could have a, I don't know, list of countries or whatever, start typing and it'll filter down. So if we had another B in here, do you know, I can't think of another one with B. I don't know, bat, girl. So go back over here, start typing. See, now we've got both of them to select from. We can just pick them, or you can double click when it's empty and it will bring up the whole lot. After it's focused on, then you can click in and it'll bring them all up. So we could then swap out for a different data list, or if you're using backend, swap accordingly. So I'm going to grab this, go over here, I'm going to say bad guys, and I'm going to put in here dark side, Thanos, Joker, Lex Luthor. Save. Now if we go back here, they've still got the good guys. So if I change this list to bad, and I go over here, it's changed to the bad guys, and the same thing, you put in J and it comes up with Joker, and away you go. So that is basically that one. I'm also going to take these break lines here and put them here, so we can separate that a bit. There we go. In fact, you only need one. No, it really doesn't matter, but you know. And there we go. Right, so on to the next one. Now this one's a bit simpler to understand. So you've got a colour input. So let's just do a break there. Say colour input, and down here we can say input colon, and you can see it's there, look. So we can give this a name like CP, lazy naming, an ID of the same. Save that, and here we have a colour input. Now your dialogue may look different to this. You'll probably see something like this by default, and it might pop up a bit different. It just depends what operating system you're on. But you also notice that the padding on this is quite rubbish, and that is because over here in the styles I said input padding 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say colon not, and I'm going to say input type, if I spell it right, type equals colour. Save. So it's applied the padding to all input types apart from this one. Okay, and then you can pick one, select, and there it is. But what do you do with it? Well, this is where local storage and databases come into play. I mean, all this would be stored somewhere, but I have got a little bit of JavaScript that I can just copy over, because it's not really a JavaScript lesson. I'm just going to go to the bottom here, put in a script tag, say that. I'm going to put this here so you can have it if you want to download the file. formatting's a bit rubbish. Anyway, so save that. If we open up console down here, we go to here and pick this one, select, and it will show you the colour there. And this value can then be taken and applied to whatever. So yeah, we can actually use this value to change colours on the page. It won't stay that colour when you refresh the page unless you store it in local storage or a database or something, but we can have a quick look at how to do that. So if we go up to this text here, let's give it an ID of something dull like text, save. Then we go down to the JavaScript down here and we'll say let's say const, let's spell that right, text equals document dot query selector, and let's choose, what did we call it? Well, text, didn't we? Call it text, save. Now when we listen to this, when there's input, we do this. At the minute it's console login, so we can see that if we go to here, select, it puts out the value here. So what we can also do is say text dot style dot color equals that CP value, and save that. So if we now go over to here, pick a colour like purple, select, and then the text is now purple. Yeah, I'll leave that there anyway, but it's not really about that today, so let's just move that down out of the way and save that. And as you can see, we refreshed and the colour has gone back to its default in the style sheet. Anyway, next, what do we want to do? I'm going to put some simple little ones in here. You've probably seen before, you might not have, but just in case, time and date. I'm just going to put them there as a reminder, really. So you can input and you put colon, and you can pick any of these in here, and you can look down. You can have email, file, hidden inputs. While you can read, you can see what it says. So let's do time. I'm just gonna, say time, ID of time, save, and there we go. So you can put the time in there, input wise, or you can use JavaScript to populate it. In fact, let's put some BRs in here. Another one. Yep, and next to that we can have another input of date. Call that date. Go over to the ID, say date, save, and there you go. And now let's get rid of this. If we click on here, we get a calendar to choose our date. So let's choose, I don't know, that one. And it populates it for you, but obviously when you refresh, hard refresh, it's gone because everything's reset to as the page, the page reloaded, so it resets to how the page loads. So we've got a date one there, and let's do another couple of BRs. Let's look at checkboxes, because we need to cover the simple ones as well. We'll say input checkbox name. Don't really need one for the minute. Let's just copy and say save. So all these can be selected. You can give labels to these as well, and I'm sure you've seen this before. But when you come to do radio buttons, well, I call them buttons, I don't think they actually are, they're inputs, but you can do input colon radio. In fact, let's do that properly. input radio. There we go. Give it a name of, I don't know, R. Sounds like I'm at the dentist. R. Yeah, select these. Copy. So we've got 4 of those. Save. And yeah, let's put BRs in there. And as you can see, because they're all part of the same group, you can only pick one at a time. And what I mean by that is they share the same name. So if we say Q in that one, save, we could put this one and that one, but only one of these 3. So put that back to R, save, we can pick only one. Okay, I think that is pretty much all I wanted to cover here, but I mean it gives you a good idea of all the different things you can do in HTML, and you don't always necessarily have to jump onto CSS and other things to achieve what you want to achieve from this simple things like this. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please do leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.